Hello, it's Sheena Douglas here again, and what you're looking at is a really cute little image here. Not my usual type of image, but I wanted to show you how I've used H2Os to colour it in, but this time with a little bit of a tweak. It's quite detailed, as you can see, the hair and the dress and everything, but can you see the graduation on the background here? I want to show you how you can make a really nice pretty wash there, and in a really easy way, so you don't have to mask anything or anything like that. It'll become clear when we start, and it's also on the shiny side of S.W.A.L.K, this one. So yeah, that's what I want to show you, and what you're looking at, if you're wondering, is one of the Perfect Pals S.W.A.L.K images, and you'd have to go to Crafter's Companion for that one. Yeah, okay then, let's get started. So what we've got here is the image, and it's actually one of the Digi images, and I've printed it out. Our printer's good for this. It's really, this is 300 GSM card, but our printer's good because it's a straight feed, so it prints on it fine. And I've printed on the shiny side of S.W.A.L.K card because that's going to give it even extra bling. Now, the first thing I want to show you is we're going to be really daring, and we're going to put a wash right across the image. Da, da, da. But it should be fine because we're going to keep it really pale. And I'm going to show you how we're going to not have a purple face at the same time. So what I need to do as well, I just want to mention, the set of paints I'm using here is the Ultimate Romance, and I'm going to use a couple of colours. Now they're in my tray. I don't know if you can see that. I'll move it around. You'll be able to see the tray, because we have it in close up. So is that okay? I'm giving a heads up from my cameraman. I've put them in this brand new tray that we've just got. It's taken a while to get across from the States, and I've waited patiently, and here it is. I love it because I can just change my palette according to what I'm colouring. And I know a lot of you had your sets are all just mixed up, and you're not, once you've got H2Os, you don't really need to worry about keeping them in sets, you just put them all together. So you would just pick out the colours you're going to use for your project and pop them in your tray, which I think is really handy. And it takes the bigger ones as well. So if you've got the bigger jars, it takes both sizes. Alright, enough of that. We're going to use the palette in the middle of this. And I'm going to pick out the two gorgeous colours, this really, really pretty, gorgeous teal colour. Now H2Os, those of you who've used them before will know that you spritz them first with water, and then you go and make yourself a cup of tea, get yourself settled, give it 5 minutes, and then when you come back they're all lovely and they're ready to play. But that's how long you need. You need to be patient and just let the water actually sit on them before they're ready to play. Otherwise you're going to be trying to paint with bits of plastic, because that's what it feels like. So I've got that really pretty teal colour there, and I want it really pale, so I'm not going to add any more paint to that. And then the next colour I'm going to choose is, let me see, I think this really lovely wine colour here. Gorgeous, pretty. So again, I've put it in a separate tray, so they're not going to contaminate, which I like. And let's see how we're going with that then. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to pop that to one side. You won't see it on the camera, but know it's there. And I'm going to get my card. I'm going to have a piece of kitchen paper ready, just in case. And I'm going to just now take the large brush. If you listened to me in the past, which why would you? You'll know that I have used the Paint Fusion brushes for many projects, and I've told you that if you get them, they're not just for Paint Fusion. This is the largest brush, and see how I'm able to sweep right across that image there, really quickly, really efficiently. No lines or streaks in the card. Oh, sorry, on the background. That would be what I'm looking for. And I've got that really nice graduated look there that you would normally have to buy card to do this. Plus it's on S.W.A.L.K. Really pretty. Now what's important here is we don't want our face to be coloured, so straight away take your the number 6 round brush that's in the Fusion set of brushes, and just gently agitate our face like that. Get some blotting paper and just blot the area, and the same with our arms. But you have to do this right away. If you let it kind of sit and set, you've had it. Okay, so just really quickly lighten that up and then blot it. And the thing is, we've put a really pale wash on here, so we can darken that skin and it'll be fine. As you can see, I've got the traditional Sheena stamp of approval fingerprint on the far side of this card. Doesn't matter, because the other thing I wanted to mention is always start larger than you're going to end up. I always have extra card for trimming, just for that kind of thing. Now I'm going to leave you for a second. I'm going to dry this card because it's not ready to paint on yet. So use your heat tool thus and dry your card. Right, so what you're looking at now is the dried card, and you can see this is just the effect I wanted. Really shiny, gorgeous H2O pearl. You think it was printed, but with the lovely graduated wash on it. Okay, and now we're going to colour her in. So can you see the shine there and the colour? Beautiful. Right, now let's get cracking with this. So what I'm going to do to start with is let's colour the face. I'm going to just swap you around here. I just want you to see this little bit of the palette here. Now the colours I'm going to use, first of all I'm going to take some of this pearl red colour, because that will dilute any colour I'm going to put on there. Be careful to get rid of any colour that you've got in your brush, because I can see I had a little bit of blue in my brush and it's actually tinted that. So when you're using any of the pale colours, make sure that you've got as much, your brush is as clean as you possibly can make it. Now there's another two colours in the palette. There's a warmer brown, lighter brown, and there's a cooler lighter brown, and I'm going to use the warmer lighter brown, but I am going to use it in small quantities. Let's try about that, because it is a skin tone I'm mixing. Now I know that when Leanne does this, she uses our Spectrum Noirs to colour the face, so if you want to do that and you feel safer doing that, then go ahead, that's fine, because then you can just do the rest of it with the bling. So can you see we've got a kind of a what's starting to look like a flesh colour, but I just want to add a little bit more of a warm tone to it, so I'm going to add a little bit of this orangey red to it, because it looks a little bit on the kind of not very healthy side, let us see. So that's looking a bit better, but it's looking a bit like a tan, but it's going to be really light on the card. So let's try and see what that looks like. Piece of test card every time. You can always, and it's really, really pale, so we do need it a little bit darker. See if we go over it again, you're going to have a nice, what looks like a good base for a kind of a flesh tone. So it was just that little bit of the light red and the pearl, in case you're wondering if you want to do that again. If you want to make a little bit more, let's do it again. That little bit of the red, and then if you want to dilute it but keep the bling in it, little bit of the pearl, and then you've got the flesh tone. But we're going to add cheeks and things to this, so that'll be fine. So this one's slightly warmer than that one, because it obviously just had a little bit more of the orange in it. Right, so let's paint that on the card. So I'll pop that out of the way, get the card back. So I'm using, again, the same brush, the round brush. I'm just going to go ahead and go into the hair area, because you're going to cover, the hair will be darker. So I can go right up to that. And then if you want to, and if it's looking a bit dark, just wet your brush, put a little bit of water, but then blot it on your piece of kitchen paper and go ahead and blend it out. You see how it was darker in the hair, and I thought, I don't know if I want it that dark. And let's do our arms the same. So we've got away really quite nicely with that wash. You see, it doesn't look like she's purple, it's always a bonus. It's not a good look. There you go. So what we can do now is, if we want to give her a little bit of a nice cheek colour and to warm her up, we'll use a little bit of that orangey red, and we'll just put a little bit just there. And then we'll just little circles, blend it out. It's kind of like when you're doing your own blush. Okay, little circles. And you see how that's blended out there nicely. Now, you might want to darken that later, but at the minute we'll leave it at that. You can give her a little bit of a warm blush to her arms as well, if you want the top of her arms. Even a little bit on her eyelid there. Okay, but you see how I'm putting tiny little drops on, and then just blending it. Now what's happened is, I've just noticed I've dropped a bit of water on my background, and that's what you don't want to do unless you want to make it that kind of a background. And that's another thing, you can drop water on it and blot it, and it'll look like it's a kind of snowy effect, which we might do when I'm finished. Okay, just a roundabout. Alright, so there you can see that the skin colour is done there, hopefully. Right, now hair. Let's keep with that nice same warm tone. I'm just going to go over that skin area. I'm using the same bit of palette because I don't really need any more. and then I'm just going to go over with the whole thing in her hair. This is going to be the lightest tone at the minute for her hair, so we'll just go over the whole thing there. Again, I'm not worried about her hair kind of being bluey, because this is I'm going to build up the colour, and the colour that I build up will be stronger than the wash that was on there. I knew that the skin tone wasn't going to be, which is why we kind of blotted it out before I started. It's really nice to paint on the S.W.A.L.K, because the paint goes really quite a long way, because it's less absorbent than the matte side. So you'll have hardly any paint on your brush, and it'll go a long way. So we've got that one flat colour of our hair, but that's not very nice. We need to work on that. Now, if you want to build layers up, at the minute I want to add a bit more colour in that, but it's going to be easier if I dry it. So we can just dry a little bit. Like that, and then that just means that the colour that I'm going to put on now will sit more on top of that colour. Hopefully you see what I mean. So I'm using a darker tone here, and can't even see it. Yep, I need it a little bit stronger, so hang on. If you put it on and it's just kind of sitting there doing nothing, or kind of sitting and kind of not, you can't see it, just use a little bit less water, okay? And I'm going to just put some little bits at the base of this plait, and the side there of her hair, and underneath the plait. Now I can work on that. Just putting the paint on, then I'll blend it, so don't worry. I haven't lost my marbles completely. Well, I have, but that's a whole other ball game. A whole other discussion, that one, for another day. So you see that I'm using nice little light brush strokes here to keep the texture of hair, so it's looking nice and fluffy and kind of hair-like, but I still want a highlight on there. And I'm just pulling that darker shadow from underneath that plait down. And then I can add a little bit more, maybe in the nape of her neck where it's going to be dark. At the bottom of her hair. And just to keep things simple, we'll start with the dark at the bottom again. And we'll have a little highlight kind of in the middle there. But keep nice long brush strokes, and it'll kind of look like, kind of more wispy like her hair. And I'm just going to blend the top of it in. This is just water on the brush, by the way, and very little. If you see me leaning over, I'm blotting it on a piece of kitchen paper. You'll be surprised at how little moisture you need on your brush when you're doing the blending bits. So I need a little bit of light and shade on that little plait area, so it looks like it's actually... Right, okay, so there's our hair done. That's all we need to do for now, just make sure I haven't missed a bit there. And let's do our dress. I don't like that bit there, hang on. Bear with. Just needed to blend that. If you see kind of a splodgy line, just blend it out. Now a dress, I think I'm going to do the nice cool purpley colour that's in the set. It's the Ultimate Romance set. I don't know if I mentioned that, but that is the set. So I'm just going to go really quite heavy with the colour in here and around underneath a little sash there, and in here where it's going to be darker. Just think of the shadow. Think of where it's going to be a bit darker on her sleeves, in there. Definitely the bottom of her dress, and around there. Right, let's start with that. So I've put the paint on the card. Now I'm using a clean brush. I've cleaned it and I've almost dried it, because remember what I said, you need hardly any moisture on your brush. If you've got too much on, it's like when you use distress inks and you blend with the ink with the water. It runs away from you and you're on a hide into nothing. You've had it. It's completely out of control. So little is best. You can always put a little bit more on if you need it. You see the way you've got a nice little graduated kind of shadowy thing going on there.